All right, today I was finishing up on a painting and I decided that I was going to add in some incisions and other things to help add texture to the painting. So what I did was I went and scratched in a few of the lines that I just wanted to make, just rough lines to be, not to be specific with any particular design, just with something to build on. And by that, I'll show you what I mean. First of all, the tools I used, I picked these up on Amazon for like $7 from somewhere, but these turned out to be great. These are dental tools or some kind of carving implements of some sort, maybe for pottery. But now some of these are pretty sharp, but they can really, there's some really good edges to them. This is like a little spear, in fact, and they have these little protective silicone ends on the back, which are great for scraping back and doing other kinds of things to manipulate the wax. But what I'm going to do here, especially, is build up layers and texture. And I'm actually going to do that with just some medium, that's all. And I'm gonna take a light touch with it, and not even immediately putting it down. You'll notice I'm not putting it down right away. The wax is actually starting to cool on the brush. This gives me the ability of putting a very, very, very light amount and then let it build up on the layer underneath. Now look what it created. This little beautiful pattern in here. So I can take that and I can amend it or just start adding other textures nearby and then bringing some of them up by just building it up with cold wax on the layers underneath. Let me do the same over here. See, now the wax in this case was a little too warm and in such covered up quite a bit, almost as if it was a complete brush stroke. So the benefit here is you really want to work with a cooling brush so that you can do, effectively it's the same technique as dry brushing, but for different reasons. In oil painting, you can dry brush to change the mood of a particular area or add highlights. A number of reasons that you could dry brush. But with wax, it's entirely different. You can actually use the dry brush technique to build up texture. So not just to lighten an area the same way you would in oil paint. Now here I want to try and stay within the design of what was carved. Maybe just bridge these two areas together. Okay. And I think we've got it. Got the piece worked out here. It's having a bit of difficulty with the remote control, so we're going to have to do this manually. But I'm going to work from behind the camera so that you can see. Look at the textures that we've been able to develop from just brushing with the cold wax. Yeah, you might not be able to see these in their true potential until the color's added, but and we just had some small ones back here. Just wait till we see what happens here. All right, so now I'm thinking I'm not going to go with all one color, whereas I could easily do burnt umber through the whole thing or crimson through the whole thing. I think what I might do is target certain areas with the burnt umber separately. So areas that I want to stay darker and warm, I'll stick with those. So let's try it down in here. I just need a little bit. A little goes a long way. Now in here, I think what I'll do is brighten up the color with this. Can't get the thing open here. Brighten it up a bit with this lime green. Yeah, it's a bit bright, huh? Well, let's see what it does when we put it into here. Now remember, you can always, after you've done an oil rubbing, blend in different colors for different effects. And just like mixing oil paints, really. All right, I'm going to stop this now and then wipe some of that off, and you can see what we've got left over. I've got this mainly rubbed off, and really all I used was just a basic bottle of vegetable oil and some paper towels and such. And basically, after I've rubbed it on, I'm just doing a tiny bit more. I only put a couple of drops of the oil on because it could get too messy, and you do want to leave some of the color on after all. So I would just do that and effectively just rub in here to take off the excess oil paint that I don't need as part of the image. Now, one thing I wanted to point out was that when we did this, when we put on the cold wax, it really wasn't cold, and it hadn't been fused to the layer beneath. But we will be doing that. It's just at the moment, to work with these textures and get these shapes. Now look at that. How that comes out. It just adds just another dimension to the paintings within paintings. And little things that can be created. All right, so we've got this. I want to give it a quick fuse. And for this, I'm just going to use my little Iwatani torch. Now, these things are pretty powerful, but I keep them on low. Keep them away from oily rags, of course. And I just want to get in here and do a very quick fuse. Just enough to blend the oil paint in with the wax, and enough to quickly fuse the top layer of the wax with the one underneath it. So, forget who it was that it said. It might have been Joanne Matera. It said, when you just want to fuse for the purposes of combining the layers, you just want to follow the shine. So as you're going through with your torch or your heat source, going through, you're following the shine that it makes on the top of the wax. All right, so there it is. It's all fused. And as far as I am concerned here, it's all finished. This is now the completed piece. And, well, completed for now. If I may decide to add one other minor element, but if not, then I'm just going to leave it as it is. And this will be it, another reworked painting.